Hi y'all, this is Justin. Just gardening tips. Vegetable gardening tips and for beginners and all that stuff today. What I'm going to do first, I got to take this stuff I got inside, you see over here, and I'll show you as I get closer to it. That is all gotten too big for containers of where I need it right now, and I can kind of get out of the other videos of the aquarium where I was and everything. I have to get to the point to where get them in the bigger pots, get them all set up. We don't want to add anything to this stuff just yet. These are still, even though they've gotten bigger, the seedlings, it's still to a point where it has an awful lot. This soil is sitting outside, it's a little bit still a little bit too rigid, but it's breaking up. So we want to get these pots all to a point here, filled up, leveled out, and then we'll compress them all when we get everything in them, and as we do them. So right now, if you look, there's 16 of them just on this end, with more. Up there, but keep going around now. And we just want to get them filled, and we'll clean up after. Reason I'm kind of doing this today is we're to the point now where, like I said, they're going to start strangling themselves in the pots, eliminate what's good and what's not good in the pots, so they have a better growing surface and time and everything. So inside, while they're still growing inside, but it's also a 50-degree day out here today. Still a little chilly, but nothing major. But you can see, I just want to show you some of this stuff. You can see how they're outgrowing their things, the lettuce, the broccoli, the cauliflower, everything I have in these containers is just cabbage and stuff is overtaken. So I got to get these moved into some bigger stuff. Henceforth, and you can see the same thing is happening over here. You can actually see some of the beans are getting to like 8 to 10 inches long in this pot. So some stuff didn't come up yet, but it will come up over time. But some of the stuff I'll move, some I won't move. But you can see just what the grow light has done to this the plants inside and everything. Got them to grow up there. Brian, stay here, babe. It's gotten them to move up. So we got the floor done inside. So if we get that done, we'll have to check on these under the grow light. So they just get themselves so crowded that they couldn't keep up with the space they were in anymore. So it's just a matter of relocating, and then they'll have to do a different style pot once they get a little more mature than that. But that, like I said, takes a little bit of time. Come on, Brian. So the first thing I want to do is I want to get these lettuces out that are right here. If you look into these lettuces, they're all in their own 6-pack of different planters here. So I got to get these in because they're starting to get somewhere to grow. They'll actually grow, get their maturity up there a little more and grow, and this will give them more room to keep moving. Right now, the problem I have is I'm trying to pull these out with an Allen key because don't know where my shovel is. My little hand shovel is right now. It could be anywhere. So I'm just going to pop them right in that potting soil there for now. And I'm going to pack this down there tightly, down around the seedlings and everything that are there right now. You can see it's kind of going to lay down. Once I water it, it'll kind of look a little bit, I guess the right word would be straggling too much, and it's kind of going to look a little bad. Normally I pop these things all the way up, but I kind of want to show you these roots here too. You can see how established they are inside there, the different roots for this lettuce. So yeah, you will lose some, and I don't thin these too much, the lettuces, because the lettuces will take on just about everything you can give them and grow in a big huge bundle and just take over bucket or barrel, whatever you put them in over time, it'll just take those over and just, and before you know it, you're just producing 10 tons. And this I have here, this lettuce I have here that I'm pulling out of here is just so you know, it is a iceberg type of lettuce. See how full that is? You just see all the different ones growing in there. It's just amazing how much a couple seeds will do to this stuff. And what eventually you'll see come out of this lettuce is just amazing. And what you want to do is you don't want to pull them when they're real wet. I watered them maybe, I don't know who's yelling out there, one of my kids or something, but one of the neighbor's kids. But I got these, I watered them probably 3 or 4 days ago, just a couple teaspoons or a little squirt from the bottle, whatever, just enough to keep the soil just a little bit rich on them. And but when they're upstairs under that grow light and doing everything they're doing, it's really nothing for them to lose that moisture pretty quick. The other pan, since it hasn't taken off, even though I put it in a week earlier, hasn't taken off as well as this one has. It still has a little bit of wetness to it. And this pan, which I said I just did order, just recently, just ordered it. See, now I look here. If you look in here real well, I got a couple things. But if you look, see that cell there? That cell really never did have anything grow out of it. So I'm only going to use these 5 cells where I got some good seedlings coming up with the seeds. Because the other cell really didn't produce, which, believe it or not, happens quite a bit with seeds, newer ones, older seeds. The rule of thumb that I've read and discussed with people over the years is after you use seeds after 1 year, you throw them out. I've never found that. I've got seeds I use that are, see, now I'm going to pull these out. We'll thin the other ones, you'll see that, but I'm just going to get rid of these leftover seedlings here because I don't need them. And use this dirt in these containers here because there's absolutely nothing wrong with the what I have in here right now to fill these containers up. So you can see we got that all there. So if we look in here, hey Bran, stay here. So if we look in here, we gotta get this stuff going too. Into the bigger pots. The other one, if I don't get to, I'm not too worried about. So often people are like, well, how do you remember this? How do you remember that? Well, I just kind of look at stuff. And I know lettuce was down there. So if you look, this thing's been moved over here. If you see, I just recently wrote here lettuce, cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower, and spinach. So I know, I can tell by looking at the plant, so I really don't have to do too much of that. That's definitely spinach, that's definitely cauliflower. And we had broccoli and cabbage, and this is the cabbage, and this is the broccoli. So I think I'm going to do the broccoli. Next, I'm going to do the broccoli on these things. So, same thing, I want to make sure it's kind of packed in there, but you want to have a hole you can do something with, just something to kind of pry it up out of there. Normally I like to also do it this way. You can pop the whole thing up out of here, but it's a little bit drier right now on this stuff, so it's not doing it quite as good as it could. Sometimes you pop it up and the whole cylinder of dirt comes out of there and allows you to do what you want to do. So if I look in here now, I've got, geez, 1, 2, I've got 5 or 6 of these broccolis in here. So what I'm going to do with my fingers here is I'm just going to get down here to some of the lower parts, and I'm just going to remove 2 or 3 of them and see which ones are healthier. And actually the ones that aren't too straggly are even better normally. So I'm going to pop off this one. That one's got 2 leaves, that one's got 2 leaves, so I'm going to leave 3 of these puppies kind of in here until we get a little more maturity and throw a little more soil around them that's laying around the edge here. So that'll take care of that, and that'll start that broccoli off with in a bigger container and start allowed to go straight up because you're only going to use the broccoli in one stem. So I still have to see which one is going to keep going for me. Well, that one there isn't working out too well. So part of garden. This ended up perfect. It ended up with 2 2 or 3, which I got to drop in here. And I didn't have to cut them. I'm going to pull. I've got these. I'm going to leave the 2 main ones in here that got 2 leaves on them, which are down here, and I'm going to throw a little more soil on top of this just to try to keep it, once I get a little bit wet, to keep it from falling over. That'll eventually, when I put the grow light on, it grows straight up and start to get a little more stronger. So you have to thin them out over time. So if I keep looking in here, you can see there's quite a few in here, but I gotta see which ones are better. This one's in real good shape here, so I have to, got a lot. Oh, look at that one. That's the way it comes out. That's the way it comes out, real nice. So, come in here, we're gonna have to pull this out a little bit and get these little seedlings grown down that are in here, down in here, into the pot, and push them down in there a little bit. And if I look in here, I have 1, 2, I got 6 or 7 in here, so I'm gonna, real long straggly ones you can see here, and the shorter ones that aren't 2 leaves, I'm kind of gonna get rid of, and I'm only leaving 2 of them in here. I'm gonna feed them down into the soil just a little bit, and then I'm gonna add a little more soil to the pot. Looks like one of them might even be broke from getting too long, because I waited a little bit too long on some of these to get them done. So we'll see if this pot survives. If not, I'm going to have another 5 or 6 pots to see what they'll do over time here with the soil and the sunlight from upstairs. So we'll see if we can get another one to pop out here. There's another broccoli popping out right here. Let's see if we can get it all the way up here. Some of them want to come up, some of them don't. And I see they're getting tangled, so when I'm pulling them now, I'm having a problem with them. So what I have to do is I have to watch how the soil works out here. And then you can see the roots in the soil right inside of here and how it grows and down inside there. So I'm looking for the ones that have, as you can see on here, 2 leaves on them. See where it has 2 leaves, that means it's going to grow and do what it has to do. So I'm looking for ones with 2 leaves. There's 1, there's 2. I'm going to use 2 in this one here. So these are 2 nice ones, but they're longer and straggler. So I want to push this down and get it down as far in the pot as I can, right? And then build the soil around it, nice and tight down there, without trying to break the stems, which is key to everything. And then we're going to fill around it with a little soil up top there, just to firm the seedlings up with where they're sitting, to keep that all in there. And then like I said, once the light sees it, see, these might not survive here, but I'm trying for it. We'll see. I'm going to build a little hole around them and see what they'll do. We'll see what happens with the rain. I mean the water when I pot it up. Now if we look, that one's kind of gone. I got one left here that's usable. It looks like is in this pot here. So I'm going to try one more here. It has a couple in it for this broccoli. But if you notice on my other videos, when you're doing broccoli, what ends up happening in a pot, it gets firm and bigger. So I'm going to take these out. I'm real happy with these 2-leaf ones right here that I got. These are really looking real nice right here. These 2 I just put in. But what you'll notice is cauliflower and broccoli, not broccoli raw, but nothing like that, but cauliflower and broccoli, they grow up on, only one of these will make it. And you'll be able to see when you start putting them inside everything, you'll be able to see them start to grow and make their singular stem straight up to grow the way it has to grow. So now we've got 5 lettuces in, 5 broccolis in. I have to look at my list again so I can remember. I'm telling you that, geez, I'm losing my mind. I was telling you that was broccoli, that's cabbage right there. I'm losing my mind. We'll save this there, because we'll be using another containers over here. So we'll do that, and then we'll look at this. So far, my fault, you got lettuce and cabbage in there. Now we're going to the broccoli. But see how the light's got to it? It's gotten too stringy. I'm not really, and they're hanging together. So when they get like that, sometimes you don't know if it's going to survive or not because it's too stringy. So I'm going to save the ones I possibly can first. That didn't work too well. Where to and not as others do, whatever they say. But I'm able to get those 2 broccolis in there. And we'll have to, believe it or not, a lot of people believe in having a harder soil and just planting them. When they're babies like this, when the broccoli or whatever you're putting in, the seedlings are babies like this, it's very hard to get anything stable around them that's going to support them because they're so young, and it's hard for them to do any, to grow or mature any which way. So you got to kind of play it by ear. These are really tangled here. That one, I'm going to get rid of this little one here and these here. And I think I'm going to take this one here if I can save it. And I'm going to put this one. See, and it's a little breezy out here today, even though it's 50 because we're in the winter up here. A little breezy, so it kind of tears it up that way as far as you don't want any wind when you're trying to do this. And I didn't notice any when I was heading home or from work or to a point that I thought everything was pretty good. But it can happen that way where the cool air takes over and the air gets to be too much, it blows things over. But typically if you get them down in here and we get them watered and I get them on the porch for too long, they'll start to they'll be back to encouraging some growth and going ahead. So I'm going to try, I think I got one more broccoli here I'm going to use. Yes, it's great to grow broccoli. I don't eat it, but my family does, and it's good to grow. And it's an impressive thing once it grows, but when you're putting broccoli in a bigger pot, the problem with broccoli is it just takes up so much room in a bigger pot. So the way I always grew broccoli, and I got broccoli cubes and stems and all that good stuff from it. But the problem I had with it was I had it in like 5-gallon or 10-gallon pails, and it would grow, and I would get a head of broccoli that was oh, did we get it? Get rid of some of this dead stuff. Some stuff that just died. Yeah, this one's not working out too well. Thought it would be better. So I'm only using one in here because everything else is kind of going for, you know what, and this one, because they were so long and strangled. But it's nothing. If I got to replant, I'll replant, put some other ones in to keep it going. I got one more broccoli here. Hate to throw away seedlings, but also you can see how long they got to be 4 or 5 inches long. That's just an awful lot for the pot and for the things to try to get through to work it out. So, and I've got 6 or 7 in this pot, so I'm going to take actually some of these longer ones out and get rid of them and push these what I would consider short, the ones that are not really short, down inside here and fill up soil around it everywhere, and hopefully that it'll take a little bit. But when they're straggly like this to a point, it is kind of tough to count on them to do what you want them to do, but we'll see. So that takes care of the broccoli, the cabbage, of the iceberg lettuce. And like I said, it's better if these are set in these pots a little better. There's a different, I normally don't do it like this with an Allen key. I normally get a little shovel and pull with the pack quite a bit to try to get them to work. But as of right now, what I'm doing today and showing this is so dry, and if I get it any more wetter, I'm not going to be able to use them either way. So the next thing we had coming in there was cauliflower and spinach. And you can tell that's spinach because it kind of looks, that's what spinach comes out at, and then it just becomes a bunch of leaves and spinach. And this is cauliflower, and if you look at this cauliflower that's coming up here, same thing. I put a lot of seeds in. I got to eliminate a lot of it and get it down to 1 stem eventually, but I'll get it down to like 2 or 3 now. Cauliflower is the same as broccoli. It comes up as 1 solid stem, and then it just blossoms. But what I was getting back to is the point I was trying to make to you last year and the year before. I become very successful with broccoli and cauliflower and growing it because the what's the right word for it? The I started reading about it and researching it. In order to have good broccoli and good cauliflower, it needs, even though you wouldn't think it, it needs a heck of a lot more area to grow and develop under the ground as it's coming up. So I ended up using last year, I ended up using 20-gallon pots on them, and man, it just went crazy. And just like you were going to an Amish market or a store somewhere where you would go buy a bunch of broccoli or cauliflower, because normally most people grow it. They're okay, but they don't get these supersized heads of broccoli and cauliflower. You know, they get what comes in the garden, like, wow, I grew broccoli, ooh, I grew cauliflower, it's pretty cool. And last year was my first very successful year with cauliflower, and if you go back and look on the site where it shows the pictures of what I grew and didn't grow, let me cut these, hold on a sec. When I did that, a couple of these too. Okay. So when I did that, the cauliflower that normally might get like that size of a garden, honest to God, was 8 to 10 inches, and the broccoli was these huge heads of stuff that grew because I gave it more of a supplemental, I guess would be the right way to say, a supplemental place to grow and produce in the barrels being bigger. So I was real pleased with it that way, and how I got it out of there. I got that hole down in there. People were like, don't use your fingers, use a screwdriver or a straw or something, or you're not hurting anything. You're just making a hole to drop the stuff down in there to get it growing, and then you're just seeding and putting the pot and soil back around it. Main thing is to try to keep it centered in the pot, try to keep it from breaking, which is hard when they're this gingerly small, and then pack the soil in them without you breaking everything. One thing, like this one I just put in here, you can just see where it just broke the stem, so I'm going to try to get another one out of here, which is like this one right here, good shape. So it's not broke, I'll just stick another one right down there, and soil, and then when I get the water up, it'll be ready to do its job. So I do have some broccoli left, but I'm not going to go too much further with it. I think I'm going to save it for now. And I'm going to move on to the spinach. Putting the spinach in here. Spinach is a early season favorite of my wife and son and family that's up here. They love they don't grow and work on it with me, trust me, but they love spinach as far as, in their salads or cooking it, or I don't know if anything they don't like that I got out here. Me personally, no, I'm good at it, but iceberg lettuce I can eat, certain things I can eat that I do enjoy, but some stuff they like I'm just not into. I can cook it up, I enjoy making the meals for them, putting it all together. See, and here's the problem that lies between some of this sometimes is you start losing some of these things as you're moving them, because this dirt is just not sticking together the way I want. So we'll see where we can go from here, and then we got one of these to pop up fully, which isn't going to happen. So I'm going to have to do these singular right now with this spinach, because they're just torn up. Gingerly just laying in there for now till they take again. I'm going to pull this one out. It's almost like they went in between the two cells and grew amongst each other. It's kind of weird. So I got these down there. Got to put the spinach back in there, and then we'll get that going, and we'll get a little more soil around that one too, just like we do the other one. Just pack it down a little bit, because the water's going to handle the rest of what's going on there and how it grows. So now we've got that all done, I'm going to let this spinach grow a little bit more, and the rest of the stuff grow just a hair bit more, because I'm going to water again and then try to reset these pots a little better. I'm not happy with how some of the dryness is getting to it. I want some of this stuff see, I wanted to show you this here. Now I gotta remember, this is where the old age kicks in here. What I had in this one at the time. So I know that's the lettuce there, so I put on this one. Lettuce, I know that's broccoli. Lettuce, broccoli, that's peas, the long one. Garden beans, they're not up yet, and the red lettuce is down the end, so I got a ton of lettuce here, so I'm not really worried that I'm not going to be successful in a ton of broccoli there. I might take those peas, we'll see, because those peas are just huge right now. And maybe peas, the problem is when you put peas in little containers like this, they just have a mind of their own, where they just take over and just grow like a madman everywhere, and you can't keep up with them. So I'm gonna water this stuff tonight and sit it a little further along. It's right here. I'm gonna water all this stuff when I get it inside. But like I said, get a teaspoon measure, like a teaspoon to each one of them. So I'll get them all measured up tonight and get the grow light back on them. And I'll give an update maybe a week or two from now. I'll give you an update and we'll see how they're reacting with the water and how things are going with them, and get cleaned up out here a little bit. But like I said, I'm going to try to get a schedule where I'm posting like every Wednesday something on here about as I'm going through the season. And when I get to the wheelbarrows and mixing everything together, I'll show you that, and the bigger containers and how I do the potatoes and all that. I'll get to that thing, and I think what I'll do is do a garden cleanup slash growing and trimming once a week, and I'll do a harvest once a week once I get in harvest season. Because people are requesting to see how what you see, how it's done, where it's at. So we will get to that point. This last year when I decided to start this, it was already so far in the season. But I appreciate everybody being around. Make sure you go out to YouTube to Jeff's Vegetable Gardening Tips for Beginners, and subscribe to the channel. It doesn't cost you anything. It just helps me with the subscriptions, and the more I get out there and the more we get noticed, the more information gets out to people. And I also, like I said, post stuff on Instagram too. A little bit on Facebook, but I try not to do too much there. It's just my pages are all linked together, so that's why I don't mention Facebook much. But like I said, Instagram, Jeff's Gardening Tips on Instagram, and plus Jeff's Vegetable Gardening Tips for Beginners on YouTube. Go out and subscribe and like. I appreciate it, and we will be talking to you probably 4 or 5 days from now and give you an update. Thanks, guys. Come on, Brian.